Good day, everyone. I am Cyril P. Montilla of Group 2, and I will be reporting the Chapter 6 of the book Rethinking Social Studies Teacher Education in the 21st Century. The Chapter 6 of the book is entitled Rooting the Literacies of Citizenship, Ideas that Integrate Social Studies and Language Arts in the Cultivation of a New Global Mindset. So let's head over first to the introduction. The world today is constantly transforming. Diba? We all know this one. The world is experiencing major changes, and these changes have been affecting our lives from the way we do things to the way we think, diba, about certain things. International borders are fading as cross-cultural communication and economic interdependence is expanding. This line simply refers to globalization. And as we all know, globalization is referring to the growing interdependence of world economies, cultures, and populations that is fueled by the constant cross-border trade of commodities, exchange of services, the flows of investments, people, and the widespread of technology. As we can observe today, there are a lot of multinational companies who are gaining a lot of popularity these days because of the quality they have, because of what they can offer, and this is just an example of the effects of globalization. Diba? We have access to um Apple, to brands coming from the international arena because of globalization. Accordingly, a shift in the concept of community is required. So why is it required? Um, to answer, the world, diba, we all know that the world is becoming more global and is becoming or and is pushing towards a more interconnected world. And because of this, the mindset of the citizens of the world should also shift or change in accordance to how the world is changing. Now, the world is becoming global, meaning that or suggesting that the mindset or the thinking of the people should also become global. And citizens with global perspective are called global citizens. So what are these global citizens specifically? Global citizens, in by definition, uh, it is someone who is aware of the complexity of the world. Diba? The world is so complex. There are a lot of things that need to be tackled from economics to politics to cultures to religions. Diba? It is so complex that it needs a thorough discussion or a thorough evaluation of the processes, diba, inside the world. And the global citizen is someone who is aware of the complexity of the world and understand his or her place in it. So that is, diba, the that is a global citizen. Um, Nations as individual entities remain at the forefront of economic, political, and social constructs. However, an understanding of the grander global landscape is mandated within the transformational experience of the 21st century world. The idea of globalization is complex and layered with wide-ranging definitions and emphasis. Positions of varied scholars present the concept as a catalyst for the development of global capitalism and universal consumerism. Diba? Just like what I have said earlier, that there are a lot of multinational brands or companies that uh, have been gaining so much popularities these days, like Gucci, Louis Vuitton, Ferrari, Lamborghini. But these are only few of the classic world famous companies. And these companies are becoming more and more universally consumed. And this is because of globalization. But their products, we can now access their products, we can now buy their products because because they have branches na here in the Philippines, and they are also have branches, 'di ba, in other parts of the world. That is why, 'di ba, because of globalization, we are able to experience the products coming from um outside the country, and lets us experience it. Um, Others critically illuminate the impact of an expanding global community on culture and environment. However, the most dominant narrative regarding globalization is driven from an economic perspective in which profit, competition, and efficiency steer decision making. 'Di ba? Economic globalization is growing, 'di ba, today. The companies or the economies are becoming more global through the process of cross-border trade, 'di ba, in terms of the exchange of products and services, uh, the technology, the advancements in communication, and so on. In the current context of global community building, one might concur that American education system reflects this economically driven doctrine. The space race of the past has seemingly been replaced by educational policies that support a race to the global marketplace. The in the American education system, there are a lot of organizations that are supporting curricula focused on science, mathematics, engineering, and technology, leaving behind those core subjects that has something to do with social studies and liberal arts. And has this has a very huge impact on the development of a global citizen, knowing that the foundational purpose of social studies, 'di ba, foundational purpose why we teach social studies to the people is to develop people who are capable of making informed and reasoned decisions for the public good as citizens of a culturally diverse democratic society in an interdependent world. And giving um so much emphasis on the courses such as mathematics and science is not helping in the development or in the achievement our of our goal, 'di ba, which is to develop globally conscious individuals. The quieting of social studies, fine arts, and some aspects of language arts has jeopardized the development of a fully holistic learner. And according to the National Council for Social Studies Education, so this is the foundational purpose of the social studies, to help young people develop the ability to make informed and reasoned decisions for the public good as citizens of a culturally diverse, democratic society in an interdependent world. And in addition, di ba, in the Philippines, the courses that has something to do with the science, technology, and mathematics are getting much support from different organizations. Diba? The students taking up these courses are are given the chance to become scholars, diba? To have an incentives. However, I do not know if there are any organizations supporting social studies, like giving scholarships to the students taking up uh course. I'm not sure if there are any. However, it is very apparent that this is a problem that needs to be addressed. Diba, knowing that the quieting of social studies has a huge impact on the development of a globally conscious citizen. Now let's proceed to the literacies required of a globally conscious citizen. So in this chapter, we will be knowing the four habits of mind, which includes awakenedness, broad-mindedness, innate contemplation, and critical conviction. So we will also be discussing the literacies of a global citizen. These are the following. First is critical literacy, followed by civic literacy, cultural literacy, digital literacy, collaborative literacy, problem solving literacy, and literacies in action. So these are the literacies that we will be discussing at this point of time. So let's have first the critical literacy. According to Coffey, critical literacy is the ability to read text in an active and reflective manner in order to better understand inequality and injustice in human relationship. From this perspective, critical literacy is not a set of teaching skills or strategies, but a mindset. As we know, critical literacy doesn't settle only on knowing how to read or write, diba? It goes beyond just reading and writing. Critical literacy is not a set of teaching skills but a mindset because, diba, um, if we want to develop our students to become critically minded individual, then we don't just teach them how to read or write, but we teach them how to comprehensively read the text. Diba? We encourage them to always have a reflective and active um, processes during reading. We always um, help them in understanding the world of text and language. Being able to develop critical individuals will somehow help the society. Why? Because the critical literacy expands learners' abilities to unearth constructed narratives and that inundate the national and global context. But diba, um there are stories or there are histories that were written on the book. However, we can tell if it is truth, valid, or reliable simply because those who created history there are a lot of people who created history based on their um based on their personal judgment. Diba? There are a lot of biased histories that are published in the book. And being able to develop critical individuals will somehow help diba, reconstruct those constructed narratives diba, present or existing in the national and global context. So that is why it is important. Now let's head over to the next literacy, which is civic literacy. Um, Citizenship education parallels the national landscape in which it is occurring. In a country that depends upon and informed with the people, the ideal democracy is hinged upon the education of individual. More literacy, more specifically, the social studies classroom can be a home of focused exploration of ideals, practices, and skills of a civically minded person. However, within the current educational landscape, the attention of this imperative has begun to erode. Um, Civic literacy is referring to the knowledge and skills needed for someone to effectively participate in the civic life through knowing how to stay informed, understanding the different governmental processes, and knowing the rights and obligations of citizenship, diba? That is civic literacy. Now, in a democratic country, the people is of great importance. The voice of the people is of great importance. However, just like in the Philippines, di ba, we are a democratic country. However, there are a lot of people who don't engage in the public sphere. They don't actively participate in the civic life. Di ba? And we need to somehow change their perceptions or we need to change their beliefs that we need to make them understand that they need to participate because their participation can impact the processes within the Philippines, 'di ba? We need to somehow um help them or inspire them in engaging in the public sphere. Their opinions matter and their existence diba, in a democratic country is unquestionably important. However, we can't deny the fact that there are a lot of problems in terms of uh, the civic life of people in the Philippines. Diba? There are a lot of people who tends to cancel out people who are trying to express their perceptions in contrast to how or to what people believe in. Diba? And because of that, they cancel out people. This is not a character of a civically minded individual. 'Di ba? We somehow, or we need to teach them how to be open in terms of the different uh perceptions existing, 'di ba, in the status quo. We need to make them understand that peoples are not the same. Peoples have different views and perceptions. And for us to effectively solve the issues in regards diversity of perceptions, we need to inspire them to engage in an healthy and open discourse. Being able to develop civically minded individuals will impact the country a lot. It will help the country's growth and development. That is how important civic literacy is. According to Wisdemer and Kane, citizenship can be framed within three typologies. First is personally responsible citizen. Second is participatory citizen, and the last one is justice-oriented citizen. The personally responsible citizen acts responsibly in his or her community by picking up the trashes, by paying taxes, by volunteering, by donating. That is a personally responsible citizen. The second is participatory citizen. From the word itself, participatory, it refers to the citizens who are actively participating in, 'di ba, addressing social issues existing, 'di ba, in the country or in his or her community, 'di ba? Um, these people are also taking part in the different community-based initiatives, just like charities and the likes. So that is the second level. And then the third level is the justice-oriented citizen. So these citizens seeks out and critically analyzes the problems for them to be able to identify the root causes of the problem, because diba, there are a lot of problems present today that also brought inequalities and injustices, 'di ba, in our society. So that is the third level of citizenship. And then let's have cultural literacy. This frame is exclusive and possesses no connection to the idea of expanding the cultural awareness and interconnectedness required of a learner who is culturally literate in this global age. Therefore, the authors reclaim this term as the learner's ability to be able to hear and honor the voices of all cultures and seek out the interconnectedness, both visible and invisible across cultural borders. Because, di ba, the world offers so much cultures. There are different cultures that we can see, 'di ba, just in a single click. Um, the cultures traverse from one country to another. We can we can access, we can see, we can, 'di ba, we can experience different cultures through the use of internet. And because of this, we somehow need to broaden our understanding about culture. We need to understand that there are a lot of cultures present in the world. And these cultures, no matter whether it is superior or inferior, they are both important. And this is what social studies teacher should do. We should encourage our students to become, or to recognize the diversity of cultures and to become more open. That is cultural literacy, being able to understand the different cultures. Because, diba, if you understand the different cultures, you can easily participate, diba? If you, for example, you are foreign to a certain culture, and then however you know the processes, or you know their practices, and then, diba, you can easily participate and effectively participate in that kind of society. Erickson suggests that culture is a human toolkit, allowing the navigation of many cultural contexts one may inhabit. It is layered notion in which individuals can hold membership within varied cultural communities, increasing the complexity of their cultural identity. These multidimensional affiliations provides avenues of meaningful cross-cultural connection and understanding. The possible blurring of cultural distinctions coupled with technology-rich world in which learners can be connected with a click of a button to others beyond their immediate context requires substantive approach to teaching culture. 'Di ba? Just like what I have said earlier, that if you are open to learning the different cultures, or if you are able to recognize the diversity of culture, then in you can easily and effectively participate in a given society. Diba? You can have meaningful conversations, meaningful communications, and it will somehow encourage you to have self-reflection. Diba? So that is the third literacy. Now let's have the next literacy. This is digital literacy. Digital literacy can be defined as the awareness, attitude, and ability of individuals to appropriately use digital tools and facilities to identify, access, manage, integrate, evaluate, and analyze and synthesize digital resources, construct new knowledge, create media expressions, and communicate with others in the context of specific life situations in order to enable constructive social actions and reflect upon this process. um Today digital literacy is very important, knowing that we all live in a digital world. Everyone has laptops, diba, has devices needed in, diba, everyday life. However, digital literacy does not focus only on knowing how to use these tools, because it also helps individuals to identify the uh the true, valid, and reliable information surfacing the internet, di ba? Because today there are a lot of fake news circling the web, and then if you are digitally literate, then you are capable of identifying which information are true and which information are are not, di ba? The essence of digital literacy is fundamentally dependent upon one's ability to productively traverse and interact with the ever expanding information highway. However, closely related to and essentially interconnected with such digital competence is the concept of media literacy. Um, Digital literacy, or knowing how to use the different digital tools today, is also very important. Knowing that with these digital tools, you can inspire other people, you can inform other people, and you can, 'di ba, share information which are relevant today, 'di ba? And internet offers a very broad audience. With just a single post, you can reach, 'di ba, millions of people. And if people are able to use this capability of the digital world, then a global citizen can really make a difference. Now let's have the next literacy, the problem solving literacy. The problem solving literacy. So the population of the world is growing, natural resources are diminishing, and technological advancements are posing random possibilities alongside complex questions. Such global developments provide clues to the complexity of future problems. Sir Ken Robinson reminds us that challenges ahead will be really new and we are going to need every ounce of ingenuity, imagination, and creativity to confront these problems. Accordingly, 21st century problem solving will be more cognitively demanding due in part to the cross-curricular, multifaceted content and more complex learning contexts encountered in the new era of globalization. So, di ba, just like what uh, I have mentioned, that because of the major advancements and global developments happening, di ba, in the world today, there are a lot of possibilities that new problems will arise, and these problems might be more, di ba, complex than what we are experiencing today. And because of these um future problems, we must, di ba, develop and produce citizens who are capable of addressing these issues, who are capable of solving these issues. That is why we must develop them into citizens who are critically minded and creative individuals. So they are the hope of the future. They are the one who are going to solve and address the different issues that the world will be facing in the near future. According to a recent report in American school and university, students today require more experience in real world problem solving in order to effectively deal with the demands and pressures of the global age and become successful in contributing and productive members of society. So, diba, in this literacy, the focus of this literacy is to be able to develop individuals who can address and solve the future problems that the world. Now, let's have the next literacy. So, this is collaborative literacy. In the face of the modern workplace, the next generation will be required to work not only as effective problem solvers, but also and often concurrently in teams across physical and technological boundaries. This forces a new paradigm in how work is accomplished. Such collaboration places workers in teamwork situations that are both global and virtual, requiring the abilities of self management, autonomous action, and effective creative communication skills. This demands the need for a shift in how education cultivates the skills of rich collaboration. This literacy, from its term itself, it is about collaboration. Diba? The world is becoming more interconnected. There are a lot of advancements going on in communication, and it is expected that people will are going to work with, diba, different people having different backgrounds, having different beliefs. And in order for them to work efficiently and effectively with other people, they must learn how to work socially with them. They must learn how to appreciate each other and respect each other. Diba? That is the main essence of this literacy. This aims to develop not just smart, critical, and bright people, but it also aims to um, produce individuals who learn from, care for, and respect one another. So that is the main essence of this literacy. Now let's head over to the conclusion. So this is the last part of my report. So let me ask you a question, and I want you to answer it in a very reflective manner. Why should you be a global citizen? Or why should we be a global citizen? From my own standpoint, to answer the question, we should become a global citizen because we live in a very interconnected and interdependent world. We live in an age and time where we cannot live alone. Just like the idea of Ubuntu, I am because you are, and you are because I am. So this idea embraces that no one is capable of living alone and no one should exist in isolation. Beyond the diversities, beyond the differences, some way somehow we are all connected human beings, diba? That we can find the our common ground to work effectively with others. That is why we need to become a global citizen. And as social studies teacher, 'di ba, it is our role to develop or to achieve the foundational purpose of social studies, which is, 'di ba, to develop people who are capable of making reasoned and informed decisions for the public good as citizens of a diverse, interdependent world. So it is our role. We should do our best to really develop and achieve these goals. So I think that's all. Thank you.